An old man named Robert was looking through his camera when a package arrived. Inside was an old baseball glove with a letter attached. The letter explained that his childhood friend John had passed away in a tragic car accident. Robert grabbed an old photograph of a girl, packed his bag, and left a voicemail saying he would be away for a while. He prepared himself and left to attend the funeral.
I present this flag as a token of appreciation for the honorable and faithful service rendered by your husband, Major John Sullivan.
During the service, Robert drifted into memories of their childhood. He remembered playing with John and a girl named Carol, and how John once said he wanted to become a magician when he grew up. After the funeral, Robert thanked the man who had sent him the glove. The man said it was strange that a baseball glove had been important enough to be mentioned in John's will. When he asked how close they had been, Robert replied that they had grown up together with a girl named Carol and said he had hoped she would attend the funeral. The man then told him that Carol had died years earlier. The news shook Robert.
You didn't hear about Carol?
No.
I'm afraid she's dead.
After composing himself, Robert drove back to the neighborhood they had grown up in. He walked down the street where the three of them had once lived.
All these years seem just like a blink.
He reflected on how, as a child, a single day once felt endless, while now entire years seemed to pass in an instant. His thoughts returned to his 11th birthday. His mother had given him an adult library card even though he had wanted a bike. She explained that she could not afford one because his father had died, leaving them with unpaid bills, and she was struggling to get by.
Your father didn't exactly leave us well off, you know.
As they were leaving the building that day, they saw a man moving into the apartment upstairs, carrying his belongings in paper bags. Robert's mother disliked him immediately, but Robert was polite. The man introduced himself as Ted Bradigan. They exchanged quick greetings and left because his mother was running late.
I hope you like it here.
Bobby!
Thank you, Robert.
Later, Robert met Carol, who gave him a birthday card. When she asked if he had received the bike he wanted, Robert said no and explained that his mother could not afford it. Carol pointed out that his mother always seemed able to buy new clothes for herself, but could not buy him his dream bike. The two of them then went to John's house.
No big deal. Mom can't afford it. She buys her new dresses, though.
They found John playing with his baseball glove. The three of them went into the woods, running around and playing. While they were there, Robert asked what inside straight meant. His mother had warned him never to be caught doing it, after telling him his father used to do it. Carol said it had something to do with gambling. John said it was a poker term, and that it was stupid, and they moved on. Later that night, Robert dressed up and waited excitedly for his birthday dinner. Instead, he received a phone call from his mother, telling him she had to work late and that the dinner was canceled. Disappointed but understanding, Robert agreed to stay home as she asked.
Oh, and Bobby, make sure to turn off the gas ring when you're done with the stove, alrighty?
I know.
He went outside and ran into Ted. When Ted asked if he was going out for his birthday dinner, Robert explained that his mother was working late. Ted assumed he must have received many presents, but Robert showed him the library card his mother had given him.
You know why she picked it? Because it was free.
Ted said it was a great gift and told him he could read many good books with it, but Robert disagreed, saying his mother only chose it because it was free. He added that he would still use it when he had time. Ted then asked about the neighborhood, and Robert explained that he had moved there after his father passed away and that it was quiet. Ted said he might be able to give him a job one day, one that could help him buy the bike he wanted. Robert was excited at first, then asked how Ted knew what he wanted for his birthday. Ted said that all kids want bikes and walked away.
How'd you know I wanted a bike?
All kids want bikes.
Robert later went to the bike store and looked closely at the bike he hoped to buy someday. He told his mother it was an amazing bike, and she gently reminded him that he would need to save his pennies if he wanted it.
It's a Phantom, 26-incher, real swell.
Robert then went to Ted's place, where Ted greeted him warmly. Robert said he had started reading the book Ted had recommended. When Ted asked how it was, Robert said it was better than the one he had read before.
Hey, I did like you said.
Ah.
I gave him a couple of hours.
Ted offered Robert a job for $1 a week. He explained that Robert's task would be to read the newspaper to him, since he was getting older and found reading difficult.
Well, the truth is, my eyes are beginning to fail me, and if you will read me this.
Robert agreed, but asked what the real job was, since $1 a week seemed like too much money just to read the newspaper. Ted hesitated, then told him the truth. Robert would also need to keep an eye out for dangerous people in the neighborhood and tell Ted whenever he saw someone suspicious.
And what they want is me, back under their control.
Robert asked what those people looked like. Ted said Robert would be able to tell by the way they carried themselves. He said they often drove flashy cars and wore dark clothes with dark hats.
But you can recognize them by the cars they drive. Loud and flashy.
Robert asked why those people were after Ted, wondering if Ted was a bad man or if they were police or agents. Ted reassured him, saying he had never been a bad man and had never done anything wrong. He said those people were the bad ones.
They leave strange signs in code. Obvious places like telephone poles and the like.
Robert told Ted he would keep watch and let him know if he saw anything. Ted explained that those people often left signs to show they had been around, usually in obvious places like telephone poles and nearby structures. When Robert asked what to do if he noticed them, Ted told him to come straight to him, warn him immediately, and then run as far away as he could.
What do I do if I see him?
Run like hell was after you and tell me what you've seen.
Robert's mother went upstairs looking for him, and Robert explained that Ted had given him a job reading the newspaper. His mother grew suspicious, sensing there was more to it, and warned Robert to be careful around Ted. She asked Ted a few questions about his past, then returned home with Robert. Once inside, she told Robert plainly that she did not trust the man and wanted him to stay cautious.
Something doesn't make sense to me.
What?
Robert grew upset and said she never wanted him to get the bike. His mother hesitated, then finally agreed, but only on the condition that the reading be done outside on the porch. Robert immediately brightened with excitement.
Okay.
Later, Robert returned from playing with his friends and began reading the newspaper to Ted on the porch. Ted noticed Carol walking down the street and casually asked Robert if he had ever kissed her. Robert reacted with disgust at the idea. Ted smiled and told him that one day he would kiss her, and that it would become the kiss by which he would judge all the others in his life. Later, Robert, Carol, and John went to the lake, where they swam, played, and laughed together, enjoying the simple freedom of the afternoon. Robert read the newspaper to Ted again the next day, sitting beside him as usual. As they talked casually about sports, Robert mentioned a football game his father had attended long ago. Ted surprised him by saying he had been at that same game. Robert felt a rush of excitement at the idea that his father and Ted had once shared the same moment, even if they had never known each other then.
Yeah.
You and my dad were at the same place.
Ted continued by telling him about a famous player named Nagurski, who had been his father's hero. He described a dramatic game in which Nagurski saved his team from certain defeat. Robert listened closely, his eyes wide, hanging on every word. Ted even described how Robert's father had reacted in the crowd, cheering loudly as Nagurski's play changed the outcome and spared the team and its fans from losing.
If you just could score for us, we could win. We could be champions again.
When Robert's mother called him inside, he lingered for a moment. Before leaving, he asked Ted if he would move away if the bad men ever showed up. Ted paused, then quietly admitted that he would have to leave, because it would no longer be safe for him to stay. Robert walked away slowly, saddened by the thought.
Yeah, it wouldn't be safe for me, kiddo.
Later, Robert's mother asked him where Ted was from. Robert repeated what Ted had told him, that he came from a place not as nice as their neighborhood. She hesitated, clearly weighing something more serious, as if she wanted to ask whether Ted had ever acted inappropriately. In the end, she pushed the thought aside and told Robert to let her know immediately if anything like that ever happened.
Does he...
What?
Robert and Carol later played together in the woods, enjoying the quiet and freedom away from adults. When Robert's mother left for work, he asked her for money so he could go to the weekend fair with Carol and her mother. She refused and told him to use the money he was earning himself, then left without another word.
Honey, aren't you earning your own money now?
Yeah, but that's for the bike.
Robert decided to invite Ted to the fair. When he arrived at Ted's place, he found him lying unconscious. Ted began muttering strange words Robert could not understand. Panicked, Robert started crying, convinced Ted was dying, and wrapped his arms around him. Moments later, Ted regained consciousness.
Oh my God.
What just happened?
Ted gently told Robert that if this ever happened again, he should leave him alone and not try to help. Robert agreed. He still invited Ted to the fair, but Ted said it was better if he did not go. As Robert was about to leave, he sensed Ted was searching for his cigarettes and quietly told him where they were, without turning around.
Thanks, kiddo.
What's so funny?
Robert went to the fair with his friends, and they spent the day playing games and enjoying the noise and excitement. Eventually, they gathered around a man performing card tricks. Carol's mother tried her luck and lost twice. John insisted he could win, but he lost as well. Robert, however, watched carefully and chose the correct card.
The one on the right.
Oh, no. It's the one on the left, right there. That's my baby right there.
The magician asked Robert to play again. Robert hesitated, saying his mother did not like him gambling. But after everyone encouraged him, he placed another bet and won again. The magician urged him to double his money and try once more. Robert agreed, watched the man's eye movements, and won again. Everyone stood amazed. Robert collected his winnings, and they walked away together, buzzing with excitement.
Now beat it, kid.
Robert and Carol rode the Ferris wheel together, sitting side by side as it carried them upward. When the ride suddenly stopped, Carol became frightened and gripped the seat. Robert tried to calm her, leaned closer, and kissed her. Confused, Carol asked what he was doing, and Robert awkwardly said he thought she wanted it. She gently told him she was not ready. Then, after a brief pause, softly asked him to do it again. Robert hesitated, nervous and unsure, then leaned in and kissed her once more. They held each other quietly, and Robert told her this would be the kiss by which all the others in their lives would be judged. The next day, the children played on the lawn while Ted sat nearby, listening to their voices and laughter. John proudly told Robert he had gotten a new baseball glove. When Robert asked what happened to the old one, John joked that he would leave it to him in his will and handed it to Ted for safekeeping. Ted watched Carol for a moment and said these days would be the best days of their lives before they grew up and had their hearts broken.
Then we grow up, and our hearts break in two.
One afternoon, as Robert and Carol walked home from school, Robert noticed a strange poster and immediately thought of the bad men Ted had warned him about. Before he could pull it down, a group of older boys grabbed it and began bullying them. Later that evening, Robert's mother told him she had been given the chance to attend an important seminar and wanted to go. She said Robert would have to stay with John, since she did not want him staying with Carol, whom she suspected he had feelings for.
No, I can't have you staying at your little girlfriend's house.
She's not my girlfriend.
Whatever.
Robert explained that John would be visiting his grandmother that weekend. After thinking for a moment, his mother decided to ask Ted and invited him over for tea. Ted listened carefully, but hesitated. Robert's mother pleaded, explaining how important the seminar was for her future. She suggested that Ted and Robert could go to the movies, have dinner, or do anything they liked while she was away.
You could sleep on the pull-out couch, which is oh so comfortable, and...
After some thought, Ted said he would only agree if Robert truly wanted him to look after him. Robert, irritated that his mother always seemed to get what she wanted to refuse. She pressed him again, explaining that the seminar could lead to a raise and finally allow her to afford the things he wanted. Reluctantly, Robert agreed, and his mother excitedly dressed up for the trip. Later that day, Robert noticed a strange car parked outside. When he went to read the newspaper to Ted, Ted admitted he felt the bad men were getting closer. Wanting Ted to stay, Robert lied and said he had not seen anything suspicious. On his way home, Robert passed the bike store and saw John there with his family, clearly planning to buy the bike Robert had always dreamed of. Carol noticed right away and cleverly convinced John to choose a different bike, quietly saving Robert's dream. As the children walked down the street afterward, the older boys confronted them again. One of them made a crude comment about Carol. Robert wanted to fight back, but another boy held him in place. Suddenly, Ted appeared and calmly addressed the group, calling each boy by name. Their leader was stunned and asked how Ted knew who he was. Ted ordered him to apologize to Carol.
You're going to apologize to Carol and Bobby.
I don't think so.
When the boy refused, Ted revealed a humiliating secret about him, exposing something he desperately wanted to keep hidden. Fearful of being exposed, the boy apologized immediately. Ted then walked away with Robert and Carol, leaving the bullies silent behind them.
What'd the old guy say?
Yeah, what do you say?
Later, Robert watched John leave on his trip with his father and felt a sharp sting of jealousy as he stood there watching them go. Not long after, he realized that the strange men he had noticed earlier were the same men taking his mother to her seminar. Fear settled deep inside him, but he said nothing and quietly watched as she left. Unable to keep it to himself, he shared his worries with Ted, who admitted that he was worried too, not only for Robert's mother, but for everyone involved.
I'm worried for us all.
Ted took Robert to the movies that evening, and on the walk back, Robert noticed adults kissing in the street and reacted with open surprise. Ted then brought him to a nearby club to briefly see a friend, telling Robert to wait outside until he returned. While Robert waited, a woman approached him and said he looked familiar. She quickly realized he was his father's son and spoke warmly about him, describing his kindness, generosity, and natural charm.
He's just like me.
Yeah, he was a good customer.
She told Robert that his father had been a skilled gambler who was well liked by many people, and she handed him an old photograph, calling his father handsome. She added that Robert would grow up to be a fine gentleman one day. When she asked if Robert had a girlfriend, he told her about Carol, which made her laugh.
You got a girlfriend?
Her name's Carol. She's a real hotsy-totsy.
When Ted came back, Robert told him everything the woman had said. For the first time, Robert truly understood that his father was not the man his mother had described, but someone admired and loved by many. Ted quietly agreed, and the two of them walked away together, carrying truths that felt heavier than anything Robert had known before.
Yeah?
And he didn't lose all our money, and he was generous, and he was funny, and people liked him.
Good.
On the way home, Robert and Ted talked about boxing. Suddenly, the bad men Ted had warned him about drove past them. Ted immediately told Robert to close his eyes and think of something good. Robert obeyed and focused on Carol, holding the thought tightly in his mind. The men passed without stopping. That night, as Ted tucked Robert into bed, Robert spoke again about his father, and Ted gently reassured him that his father had been a good man. Later, they sat together watching television, and when Ted won a $2,000 bet, Robert stared at him in complete amazement.
Wow. You just won $2,000.
Later that night, Robert received a phone call from his mother. She greeted him warmly and reminded him to be a good boy. Moments later, the man who had taken her on the trip appeared and forced himself on her. She struggled and tried to fight back, but he was stronger and overpowered her. After the call ended, Robert asked Ted if the money he had won was meant for traveling. Ted admitted that it was. Robert then confessed that he had lied about not seeing the signs earlier, and Ted told him he already knew. When Robert asked when he was leaving, Ted said he would go the next night, just as Robert's mother returned home.
When will you leave?
Tomorrow night when your mother gets back.
Robert hugged him tightly and cried, saying he did not want him to leave. Ted told him it was for the best. When Robert asked if they would ever see each other again, Ted quietly said they would not. The next day, Robert read the newspaper to Ted one final time as Ted prepared himself to leave. Robert asked if Ted knew everything, and Ted explained that when he touched people, he opened a window into their minds. He could see and understand certain things that others could not. Some people saw it as a gift, but to Ted, it had always felt like a burden.
Some think of it as a gift, but to me it's always been a burden. What I see has a value for some.
Ted then asked Robert to bring Carol so he could say goodbye to her. Robert went out to find her and stopped by her house, only to realize she was sitting by the river reading a book. As he made his way there, he noticed many missing pet posters along the street and quietly pulled them down as he passed. In the woods, one of the older bullies found Carol and attacked her. When Robert finally discovered her, she was badly hurt and crying on the ground. He knelt beside her, doing his best to comfort her, then carefully lifted her onto his back and carried her all the way home. Once they arrived, he urgently begged Ted to help her. Ted gently took Carol from Robert and carried her inside, moving with calm and care.
Now listen, Carol. I've got to look at your shoulder. You understand? Don't want to hurt you. You can be fine.
Carol cried out in pain, insisting that her arm was broken. Ted calmly examined it and assured her it was only dislocated and that he could fix it. He handed her Robert's belt and told her to bite down on it, then asked her to breathe slowly and close her eyes. With steady hands, he set her arm back into place. The pain quickly faded, and Carol said she could no longer feel it. At that exact moment, Robert's mother returned from her trip, shaken and emotionally drained. She walked in, saw Ted helping Carol, and immediately assumed the worst. She slapped Ted and demanded that he leave at once. Robert tried desperately to explain what had happened, but his mother refused to listen and sent him to his room. She threatened to call the police and accused Ted of assaulting Carol. Ted quietly asked if she also planned to tell them what had really happened to her on the trip. Shocked, she froze, realizing no one should have known. Ted told her that her son was growing up while her attention had been elsewhere. As Ted left the house, Robert warned him to be careful. Ted replied that he was going to get some food at the diner before leaving town. Then he would go and get his money from the corner pocket.
I guess. Pick up my winnings later.
Later that night, Robert woke up and overheard his mother giving away Ted's location in exchange for the reward money. Without stopping to think, Robert snuck out of the house, determined to reach Ted and warn him before it was too late. Robert found Ted at the diner and told him everything. Ted admitted that he had always known Robert's mother disliked him, but he never imagined she would betray him like this. Robert suggested that Ted write a note to the corner pocket so Robert could collect the money for him. Ted hesitated for a moment, then agreed and wrote the note. Robert left and called the bad men to tell them that Ted had already gone. Realizing Robert was lying, the man called him by name and ordered him to go home.
Stay out of this, kid. Bradigan's our business. Go home, puppy.
Robert managed to sneak into the corner pocket without being noticed. He handed over the note and collected Ted's money. When he returned to the diner, Ted was gone. Panicked, Robert ran outside and saw Ted being taken away by the bad men. Ted looked back at him and said that he would not change a single moment they had spent together. Robert stood frozen, watching helplessly as Ted disappeared from his life.
I wouldn't have missed a minute of it, Bobby. Not a single minute.
When Robert returned home, his mother yelled at him for sneaking out. A heated argument followed, and Robert accused her of driving Ted away. She insisted they needed the reward money. Robert threw the corner pocket money at her and told her to take it, saying she only cared about money and herself. He told her that she had not only betrayed Ted, but had betrayed him as well. He said he knew his father had been a good man, not the terrible person she had always described.
Everyone liked him except you. You never liked me either.
Robert's mother broke down in tears, finally realizing how deeply she had hurt her son. Later, Robert's mother found a new job outside Boston. Robert had gained confidence and learned how to stand up for himself during his time with Ted. One day, when a bully tried to hurt him, Robert fought back and won. Sometime after that, his mother asked if he would ever forgive her. Robert said he was working on it, and she hugged him tightly. Before leaving town, Robert went to Carol, gave her his new address, and asked her to write to him. She promised she would, and told him she would never forget him. Soon after, Robert and his mother left Boston for good.
Well, time and tide wait for no man.
Older Robert returned from his memory. A teenage girl approached him and warned him that he was not supposed to be there. He told her he had lived there as a child. Recognizing the way she spoke, he asked who her mother was and learned she was Carol's daughter. She told him Carol had died years earlier.
My mom's dead. She died years ago.
When Robert mentioned that he and Carol had lost touch, the girl asked if he was the boy from the Ferris wheel. Robert nodded. She said her mother had told her about him. Robert took out a photograph of Carol as a child and gave it to her, telling her she could keep it. He introduced himself and learned her name was Molly. He told her that her mother had the heart of a lion. Without another word, Molly walked away holding the photograph. Robert never stopped thinking about Ted, even though he never saw him again. That summer remained the best time of his childhood. Even though he never gained Ted's gift, Robert believed Ted had given him something far greater. He had opened his eyes and taught him how to see the future. Robert knew he would not change a single minute of it.